back into the game room of the settings as well, and yep, it's exactly as we expected. It's going to be Arena as the home map of CZ clan. So looking at the civilizations, it's CZs are taking Mayans and Aztecs, so basically the two strongest civilizations on this kind of map. And for the Jedi Master Z, we are seeing Mayans and Goths, and well, it kind of gives what's going to happen from them. And it's going to be a sling from Mayan into Goth. And well, as for the other team, they were probably hoping that Aztec might be slinging into Mayans, but it might be having actually to be turned around, because we have seen last week, exactly on Arena, a fight between Winchester and Dark Knight, if I remember correctly. That was Goths versus Mayans, double sling each team, and it didn't really end well for the Mayan, as you would have guessed. So
Yes, Goths are so strong against Mayans, who are usually a very strong civilization, but Goths just eat them. It's crazy.
actually, it was a pretty interesting game last time around, much longer than I would be expecting, especially considering that Goths are basically direct counter to Mayans. It lasted more than an hour, and Winchester played really so well, but in the end it was just kinda inevitable. The longer the game actually lasted, it was getting into the inevitable end, and I'm slightly worried for CZs right now, my bias coming through in here, that they might be picking their own strategy, and they definitely should be waiting for what's going to happen on the Jedi Master side, because whichever side this link actually goes will decide what they need to do, because it might be just a pretty bad choice to somehow pick their strategy first and then discover that it's going to be the Goths countering the Mayans yet again. Looking at the bases, yeah, continue.
There was a short question on the chat. What is the prize for winning? I guess you should explain or describe RTS League in like 3 seconds, Blackadder.
Well, the prize is pride and eternal glory. That's exactly what the clans are playing
The
in here
fame and
for.
the glory. Yeah.
Yeah, we are not playing for any prizes, which makes basically all the players playing in here all that much more awesome, that they are actually dividing, or rather spending time on playing with us, even through the other tournaments that are actually happening, like, I don't know, the big tournaments for 30,000 like the Nations Cup and such, and definitely speaks to the fact that RTS League is doing something right, as it's continuing from already 2001. It maybe could have been even the first maybe competition in Age of Empires altogether. Not exactly sure, I don't really remember the past times that far behind. Maybe Janet does, because I think you were somewhere in there.
I was not directly involved, but there was a big clan called FOPT back then, and the founder or ruler back then was called Strawberry. And Strawberry ran big tournaments. He teamed up with rich sponsors, and then after some time he decided, okay, we need actually a league on a regular basis, not just, one-time events. And then he founded it together with several people, and I was, well, one of them who helped with it. It was a great time for AOC back then, and I'm so happy to see that RTS League is still, well, alive and kicking.
Yeah, so definitely thank you for your past contribution and of course of your present contributions as well. You have streamed quite a lot of games in the past seasons, but otherwise, yeah, there have been some bumps along the way, of course, as 15 years or 16 already, almost, and that's quite a long time for anything to work. But well, we have been able to get through them, and we are quite glad that we are still basically the only competition in the whole community that takes care of clans, because all the other competitions are basically teams, like, I don't know, VIC or the other teams, or other the other competitions. They are always about random teams, so you can basically team with whoever you want. But in RTS League, it's all about your clan, and actually only real clans can play in here. So yeah, that's a bit of a difference. But since clans are the most important thing of any community, I think it's quite needed to be supporting this baseline and keep the community alive.
I said something high flying like 2 weeks ago. I said, if family is the core of society, then the clans are the core of AOC community, right? So yeah, clans are important. They train the players. They tell people what is all right and what is not cool to do in the community. And so yeah, right now we have a pause. Minute 7, population 20. So it's not a crucial moment in time right now.
And just looking around, and a lot of deleted walls all around. Just now, looking at Yannick, he's having double wall deleted right next to the gate on the left. He was probably trying to lure in the deer in there, so he wanted to be having a bit more room. And it's looking like that the deer is actually not listening all that much, almost at the second half of his base. But seems to be getting just fine about now, and he has also been forced to delete a bit of a wall on the right because of the boar. He's just now getting under the DC, and I have also seen Ovenka, and yep, he was having the hole in there for quite some time, so I was slightly worried that he maybe could have forgotten a bit, but probably didn't, as he has right now finished with the house in there, so shouldn't be really all that much of a problem. But what I also wanted to talk about a bit is that on Arena, usually what's important is if you have resources right next to the wall in the front or not. So far it seems like that most of the players are having resources at the back, for example, like Ovenka and Yannick, they are having save gold and basically stone as well for Yannick. So that's definitely going to help quite a bit to their gameplay. And really, it seems to be a theme for all of them, so I don't think that either of the teams should be having any kind of problems with resource placement and possibly being susceptible to some kind of aggressive castle drop.
I agree. I've had a look at the maps for all 4 players, and there's nothing crazy or terrible about them. Should, yeah, allow for a regular arena game. Just 2 comments from the chat. The scoreboard is still 0-0. Maybe we can update it in a good moment. And well, the score is, spoiler alert, 1-0 for Jedi right now.
Yeah.
Other question was, is AoE 2 growing? Well, if you look at the last, let's say the last 10 years, then yes, it is growing. It's not as big as it used to be in the first 5 years, but over the last 5 years at least, yes, it is growing. So that is a good thing.
Most definitely, Age of Empires still seems to be quite very much alive. It's doing quite great, and especially a whole lot better than maybe a lot of people could have expected by now, but I think it's helped quite a lot by the fact that actually RTSs are not made at all. Like you have maybe 1 game per year, and it's usually some kind of subpar quality, so it's not really anything that you could compete with a game like Age of Empires, and that might be a pretty big reason for that, as basically the only esports or other big esports, let's not say that Age of Empires is not esports, is basically StarCraft 2, and it has been overdone. In my opinion, it has been a whole lot overdone into esports, so it basically doesn't really, it's not really a great gameplay for a casual player, and that's a pretty big problem. And as opposite, Age of Empires is absolutely great for the random play, basically 1 time per week with your friends and such. So I think that's also what contributes to the overall longevity of the game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree here, otherwise I wouldn't still be interested 17 years after, right?
So players are right now advancing into feudal ages, 1 by 1, so it's going to be up to us to actually follow who is going to be swinging whom, as I don't doubt that's going to be happening. Basically going to be waiting for coinage, who is going to research that one's going to be slinging.
Influencer, population 28. And he's the second to click up to Castle Age, after Robo.
Yes, the TheJedi are slightly faster. And that's curious, because that means they won't be slinging.
Yeah, there's the market coming up for Ovenka, player in yellow.
And he's getting coinage, so he's going to sling into Yannick, which kind of makes sense, to be honest, because he's slinging into basically the strongest player in the game, by far, I have to say, of all the players in here. And especially in his team, it makes a whole lot of sense, as Yannick will be Mayan, but he will have to hurry quite a lot, because if the Goth gets strong enough, it's going to be basically a race for time, because he needs to kill his opponent faster than the Goth gets into the game. because then it's going to be 2 versus 1, and that's of course going to be easy for him to win. But unless he is able to kill Roboboro fast, yeah, well, it's not going to be all that easy for them. A bit of a
Influenza
problem.
is
Sorry,
is
continue.
Influenza is still a bit low on stone. He only has 3 villagers on stone and 270 stone in the bank. It's not gonna be enough to drop a castle immediately, so maybe he will boom a little. Goths actually need quite a lot of farms for, you know, the units, infantry units, and all the upgrades.
Oh, right now Ovenka just let Influence New Scout through the gates, but he's probably
He
gonna kill him.
trapped. Yeah, he trapped the scout.
And how did he actually trap him? Oh, he lost the eagle, god damn it.
Wow, one
Well, that's a problem.
HP. Well, there was a fight and the gate was open. Then Ovenka moved the eagle only one tile, the scout followed, and then the gate closed.
Yeah, but I was thinking that actually the scout might have been running away to scout a bit more, but he probably saw that he's having enough resources, or enough resources in his hit points, that he could actually
Yeah.
be killing him, and that's not really ideal, because right now Influence will know exactly the layout of Ovenka's base, and how strong economy is he having. And that's not good, especially since he's going to be seeing that the stone is pretty bad positioned. And since Ovenka should be slinging a whole lot of stone to Yannick to get the castles up as a Mayan, well, that might be something they might want to target, and that will be helping him quite a
Yeah.
lot.
Speaking of which, Ovenka is building his first castle right now, halfway finished. And Influenza's building town centers, so yes, he will be booming. Even 2 town centers, 3 TC boom. Both are coming up.
Yeah, so it's basically confirming what we were talking about a bit earlier. It's really going to be all about the timing in here. Yannick will be racing against time if he can kill Robo faster than Influence New is set up, and well, in 2v2 with just one sling, I'm kind of thinking if Roboboro prepares perfectly, he could be stalling him quite a lot, but he's so far not really preparing at all. So I'm almost thinking, well, right now he should be realizing that there's actually a sling, especially since they have seen the double wall through the scouting. But I don't really see Robo preparing at all, which is really weird.
And I don't really envy Robo now. He is, well, in this scenario, the lowest rated player, 1750, against the highest rated player, 2k1, and against a slinger. So Robo needs to work miracles now. He's already building a wall behind the stone wall to save time.
Yeah, at least with the buildings in here. But still, Yannick is already into Imperial, of course, and is already coming in with the archers. So they might be attempting to stop any kind of double wall that would be too close to the original one. As he's right now scouting all around, and well, there's still quite a good way through for him through the top, and he could be very easily just going through using 2 petards. And it would be pretty much
Yeah.
it. There would be anything that Yeroboboro could be doing against that. So that wouldn't be really a bad idea from him. So I'm
The
slightly
plumed
thinking
archers are
that
going
Yannick might
to
be...
Influenza, though.
Ah, yeah, sorry, continue.
The plumed archers are running towards Influenza. Maybe
Yeah.
just scouting now, but yeah. Could get interesting.
That's kind of curious, because he's probably expecting... I'm right now thinking that Yannick is overthinking the situation. He's probably thinking that Roboboro is ready for him, because he has scouted him and should be ready for him, because it's obvious what's going to come. And he's probably thinking that maybe Influence is not ready, especially because Goths cannot really build the extra wall, of course. And he's thinking that it might be the correct decision, but, well, maybe it will work as well. It's not like the Goth player is actually ready for anything right now, going to be dropping the castle at least.
Yannick sent out 5-6 villagers, and he's on his way to
Robo, I
now.
think. I think he's going to be trying to capture the gold and the stone. That's right, next to the corner of the wall. That looks like a
Fortified
pretty good
wall
spot
now
for him.
for Robo. And I actually thought of it, Robo is collecting stone. He could have dropped a second line of stone walls if he wanted. Oh, Yannick changing direction, going to Influenza again.
And Yannick also picking up the relics is definitely going to help him quite nicely. There are quite a lot of them in actually their power, the double in here in the middle and one on the right side. That's something to help them, with the 4th being very close by, and that's actually quite a lot of gold for them potentially. It's not bad at all.
Okay, Influenza finished his first castle, and there's a castle coming up in front of his walls. So he should get, I think it's called Anarchy, as soon as possible, which allows him to produce Huskarls from the barracks.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be up to him right now. I'm going to switch the point of view into Influenzino to have a look on his economy overall. He doesn't have any resources at all. Just clicking Anarchy exactly as you are talking about it. And, well, dropping one barracks in here, but, well, he's definitely up against a pretty strong lineup right about now, because already the army from Yannick is strong, so even though, with Trebuchet coming in as well, so I'm not exactly sure if he's going to be fast enough in here, but Robo is advancing into Imperial.
It is actually fine, because Influenza has completed the Anarchy research, so he can get his Huskarls now. That's what he needs.
I'm kinda curious why actually Yannick isn't speeding this up with at least 1 or 2 petards, because he could be just getting through instantly. And it's not like he's going to be missing those 2 puntaches, I'm thinking. That would be, I think, a much better strategy right now.
And he's an arena player, so he definitely knows this little trick.
But he seems to be quite comfortable right about now, because he probably has recognized there is absolutely no sling from the opponent, so it should be reasonably easier for him to play. But really, the Huskarls are already in pretty decent numbers, even though, of course, they don't have any kind of upgrades, just the one into the armor. That's pretty much everything that they right now have in.
Robo is 60% up to Imperial Age now.
Yeah, and that could be maybe a bit of a problem for him, but I don't think he can be really up as fast as he needs to, because he cannot really do all that much against those 2 castles that are right now going to be up against the Goth player, and it's just, I don't know, he's going to be costing him quite a lot of time to research all the siege ramps and such.
Yeah.
So
Influenza right now is trying to save, let's say, 20 seconds until he gets the +2 defense upgrade for infantry.
But at the time, Yannick is already going to be having elite plumed archers, so it's going to be basically offset by a much stronger unit in there.
And they are elite and have +4.
Yep, and well, that's a problem with the gold, of course, because right now Influenzino is going to lose all the gold. Second gold mine is already in the power of Olenka, or rather of Yannick, so, well, this might be even short a game in here, because right now Roboboro will have to sling him if there's anything that actually Influenzino wants to do, and Influenzino is still having just 1 barracks. He hasn't, actually sorry, he does have something at the back.
Yes.
He has rebuilt a bit more safely. But still, going to be pretty hard right now for him.
Yeah, Robo basically needs to hit Yannick from the back right now to save Influenza.
I think that he should be going for just straight veteran rams and upgrade into them, because that's basically the only unit that could help him against the puntaches in the numbers actually right now Yannick is having. And is he doing something like that? He's having puntaches ready at the back as 3rd castle is dropping up. And oh well, I'm kinda curious why he's building the castle at the back. I was maybe thinking this was a pretty good time to go for an offensive castle to basically deny the gold without any kind of doubt. But those castles are getting in numbers, really.
I also like the idea with rams. Battering rams, siege rams would be perfect against Mayans right now.
But he is going for basically the same that Yannick is going, Plumtaches and Trebuchets. So he's gonna have to defend through on the left pretty soon, and yeah, well, the castle might not even come up. Let's see if Roboboro is actually seeing the one being built. Oh, he isn't. Well, that's unlucky.
Yeah, he missed it by 1 or 2 tiles.
Could have stopped it, I think.
2 tiles.
But right now that's of course not going to happen, as Influenzino is doing all he can to stop the barrage of the archers, but right now, oh well, it's
That's
going to be a lot of
villagers
release. Yeah.
Where is he going to?
But it's actually not a bad idea to use them as some kind of false targets, because they could be targeted by the plumed archers, allowing a lot of the Huskarls to actually survive and get closer, which I think at least partly happened in here. But right now this is basically the fight for the game, and it's definitely going to be lost right now for Influenzino, and I'm not sure that he can do anything about this, because he doesn't have anywhere to run. he can run basically to Yannick, to rather Ovenka's base, which is not really ideal for him. You can see he's basically setting up between him and Yannick. God damn it, Ovenka.
Yeah.
So that's going to be where he runs. But it's looking
Robo
like that.
lost the trebuchet, got another hit. He has 4 or 5 villagers ready. Not enough stone, so maybe he will drop the siege workshops now. That would be a good idea, I think.
Yep, it seems like that Yannick is well aware and GG is coming up. Yep. As Yannick basically defended the left side quite handily without all that much of a problem. He
Yeah.
noticed it quite enough. And on the right, basically, influencing was already dead. So yep, this was a pretty well chosen home map for CZ as they are tying the match at 1-1. They are going to be moving into the home map of the Jedi Masters.
Yep.
Well,
looking at the chat real quick. Nobody is here is any good. No, I don't agree with that. Yannick is solid 2.1k, and with Ovenka, his body, they are actually a force to reckon with in Arena 2v2. Influencer is 2k, Robo is 750 something, so these guys are far above average. They are maybe the top 5% of the players. So yeah, they are good.
a bit of a difference in here, and maybe that it could be looking a bit weird, is that actually all those players are much more used to playing 3v3 than 2v2, so it might seem that some parts are not exactly top-notch or some such, but overall, they definitely are one of the greatest players, or other greatest players are pretty great players overall. So GG in the second game, and we'll be waiting.